Hoi, dit is Peter van der Bos, VMworld TV. Ik sta hier vandaag met David Bieneman van Liquidware Labs. We kennen elkaar al heel lang, long-time friend. David, we go way back. Wij zijn nog altijd partner voor Liquidware Labs. En we willen graag wat weten over zijn producten. En dat ga ik hem nu even vragen. David, hi. Nice to meet you again.
Thank you.
And could you tell me about your new products?
So we had a desktop transformation solution. Obviously, we still have that. It's an assessment, design, migration, and validation solution that partners will use typically to go ahead and roll out a new maybe VDI environment, maybe some application virtualization, maybe a mix thereof. One of the new components of that suite is our interactive designer product. So Stratosphere Fit has been the assessment solution. Now that can feed into a module that can actually help you design based on real user workload and application usage, an actual shared image strategy and how a strategy to deploy your applications out to your users. So for instance, you might want to deploy a C:Windows or just a standard Golden Master that's just Windows based and manage that on its own. And then have all the users that need to use that image use a different mix of technologies, and that's likely what a partner's doing today to deliver those applications to the user so they can get at their data. And that might be some applications built inside that Golden Master. And of course, most of us nowadays are trying to build this in a more 2 or 3.0 way, where we're putting applications into that user space via application virtualization technology, maybe a technology like FlexApp, which isn't an isolation product, but it's more of a straight virtual software distribution tool. Or maybe you want to use terminal services to deliver an application, a one-off application. So our image designer in the Stratosphere Interactive Designer product will allow you to create an image and tell you how much of the community of that users that were assessed you're serving. And really we use it on a more of an Active Directory group level basis. You can use it in other ways, but we like to promote an Active Directory group level basis. So for instance, the sales users, the remote support users, maybe a department, remote access developers, those have more commonalities if you use them on an AD group basis. And so then you can design an image strategy, a shared image strategy with a deployment methodology that best suits that user group. And at the end, you get a bill of materials that says, this is the applications, and this is the deployment strategy, and this is the users that are affected, and how many extra apps you're going to have to license, or how many apps you did not serve for those users. And the same thing is done with a host chassis or a resource pool of CPU and memory. Same thing is also done with a storage strategy, and how many disks in the subsystem is it going to require to serve those applications, the amount of IOPS that you have, the amount of I/O, and how big is that going to be, and what type of array levels do you want. There's a configurator in the back of the Interactive Designer that allows you to assign cost to those components so that you can even understand the type of cost that's going to be required to deliver the solution. And then there's like a guide me graph that'll let you select, do I want to cover the 75th percentile, or above that, do I want to cover the 99.7 percentile so I can get all those users, or do I want to cover my peak loads? And you could also take those peak load users, remove them from the group, add them to a new group, and then create a pool just for them. So Interactive Designer, I think, is a big step forward in helping partners design an environment that actually is going to deliver similar to the user experience that you had on maybe an actual local device. And so part of the desktop transformation solution is that new Interactive Designer, and that's one of the new products. If you move on towards the migration part of the suite, which is decoupling the user from the actual image and device, we've added a piece to our Profile Unity part of that suite, which can decouple applications, and I alluded to it a moment ago. It's called FlexApp. We've had FlexApp in a user-installed applications mode in a 1.0 phase for a while. We just added non-admin ability. You can use a non-admin account. You don't have to have admin rights anymore, or UAC turned off anymore. You can leave it on in order to be able to capture seamlessly and kind of consolidate those applications to your own personal virtual disk, and or a VM. And we also added VMDK support, so you can go right to the high-speed disk versus a virtual hard disk. So we have both of those now in the new product. And the new FlexApp, that's going to be out in September, I believe it is, or November. We're actually demoing it here. there's a full drag and drop policy engine that can deploy departmentally or corporate apps that are pushed out from per business unit. So for instance, the environment for a developer might need different things than an environment for an accounting person. And in this case, you can use just a simple C:\Windows, deploy that image out, and then you can start to build application sets on the fly and on demand with a drag and drop interface and a set of policies that say, these applications get installed first, and then above and beyond that, these are the applications that the user is allowed to install on their own specifically, and or they must have digital certificates, or they must have a path coming from an install path of X, Y, or Z data source. There's a number of policy options, and so for the migration and the user virtualization part, the new part is the FlexApp departmental installed applications with a policy engine behind it, and no administrative privileges required for the UIA or the DIA part. That's the acronym for those. And then, of course, we still have the validation component, which is the user experience validation. It's not as much how much CPU am I using, it's more about how long did it take for me to log in, how long for the apps to load, how many apps locked up per second, what's my network latency, how about my application response time from the back-end servers, and that all can be compared to the assessment data and the baseline, so you can see, am I doing as well as before I assessed and migrated my environment? The product can also be used to understand application usage and licensing and how much you're consuming, and do you really need to buy and renew those licenses next year. So it's a complete desktop transformation suite, and for the partner, provides you the ability to dip your toe into virtualization, desktop virtualization, or go full speed ahead and create a methodology for all your levels of consultants internally to kind of follow the same methodology, especially with the designer and the validation component. And for the end user, the corporate commercial end user, it gives them the ability to decouple those users and those applications from the main image or from the hardware, so they don't have to go through a user experience issue every time they need to migrate, whether it's a new operating system or a new device, and it really improves the ability to guarantee that you to enhance that migration so that you have those user experience familiarities of your bookmarks and your registry for your Outlook and your registry settings, your Outlook read-ahead cache or your custom dictionaries, and at the same time get that data that is on the user's PC migrated over in a bit block fashion. They don't have to get out of their desk. Somebody doesn't have to come over and potentially copy data and steal it for themselves. So at the end of the day, the whole solution helps the partner deliver and validate, and helps the customer remove the user from an upgrade cycle, lower the cost, improve the user experience. Available as a complete bundle or individual point products if you have other solutions you like to dovetail in or the customer has some preferences there. And that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, David, for an informative session again. As usual, it's always nice to talk to you again. And thank you also as a partner. I thank you for your working together with us. En dit was VMworld TV. Op naar het volgende interview. Zie je.